the snow doesn't stop with the wall. Yeah, it's not, Mexico is not all tropical, but so most of the rain falls, and then our average is 9 inches. And we have like these extreme temperatures, like -10. For example, this spring, we have one day that was -10 Celsius, and in the afternoon it was 20 Celsius. Don't ask me to give you like the imperial and the metric, because I spent a lot of time studying your metric system, and then I say, oh, these guys use everything. So look at that degradation, it's impressive. Just with 9 inches, this is before getting to my ranch. But you know, the interesting thing here is that you see a fence there. It just happened in 50 years on the desert. So we have to have those soils, skin in the soil, those soils covered with vegetation. But if there's a darker, like 1 meter, that tells you, and we have a lot of history, like ecological, historical perspective. When the priests were there, like the Spaniards, they left a lot of written history. I don't know if any of you is familiar with Salt Lake City, Utah. Well, these priests were trying to find a way when it was New Spain, going from Santa Fe all the way through California. And when they saw Utah, they said in his writings that they have never seen such a beautiful place in all New Spain. Now you go to Utah and it's just big desert. So this is a rainfall pattern. So we go for long rest periods. I know it's not the first time we are saying sharing the same message here. So at the end of the growing season, which is fall, we make sure that we have enough grass to go to the end of the next growing season. Right? So depending on what happened there, we may destock, or we may actually leave more animals, or so on. But we always want to make sure that we have more grass than cattle. This is the trend of the rainfall. Mostly, I do a lot of work on the western U.S., but it's not different in the western U.S., northern Mexico, where the trend is going downwards. Why? Because we're firm believers that vegetation actually is the one that helps us with pulling more rain. No vegetation, no small water cycle. And this is another view, satellite view of the photosynthesis. So despite of us having less rain, we're actually getting more green, the total quantity of green. So that's what really we need to do nowadays. We cannot manage our properties the same way because the conditions are completely different. Even the term of rewilding may not apply some places because the fragmentation and the conditions are different. This is our ranch. It has mountain range, and it's when it rains, the view from the house, and it does snow. It used to snow really, really well before, but now we cannot rely on the snow because things are changing. So a little bit of the context as well. I think the important thing here, for example, well, we can never use any mechanical seeding, burning, or subsidized. There's no subsidized in Mexico, though we're getting help from the conservancy organizations, the ones that protect migratory birds, because finally we are working in sync. There was a lot of fighting before. We're working in sync. Whoever is practicing this regen ranching, so they know that we can get the grasslands back to help those migratory birds. And the carrying capacity for us, for example, we need 12 hectares per cow, and neighboring properties, they need 100 hectares. So we need to understand that whatever we do, our management is taking us forward or backwards because we're dealing with a very complex system. So as I say, you know, if any of you tells me, oh, Alejandro, I'm about 10 years, same as 10 years ago, oh, I think you're lying to me. because you have to say, I'm getting backwards or forwards depending on my management. There's no middle ground here, folks. So how do we go? This is a picture taken the same day. So for example, the left side is, I don't know the pointer here. There we go. So see how the soils are so compacted? And then this is my side. We even never realized that we could grow these 7-8 feet tall grasses. Because if you read the books, it will tell you that sprangle top, green sprangle top, grows on 20-inch above. Yeah, but as any research, how the research was done. So we can grow those grasses with 6 inches, not with 20 inches, as the book said. I like that verse, the promised land, because we moved from being livestock producers to grass farmers, but now we understand that in order for us to produce milk and honey, we need something beyond grasses. And what we need is flowering herbs, which we call them forbs. But all those forbs, you realize that, for example, we have a forb here. And if you go and take a look at the English names of those ones, they always start with prairie, like grasslands, and something. So that, for me, is the reward that nature gives you when you are able to fix the water cycle by growing thick grasslands. And why is that so important? Because if we measure the bricks here of grasses and these kind of flowering herbs or forbs, this may be 7, 8, but this is 20-something. So it's that diversity that the cows take advantage of that they will perform much better. It doesn't matter really where you are. We have seen it in the Amazonia, we have seen it in Brazil, we have seen it everywhere we go, in the US and so on. So this is what I think is really like a prime land, regenerated land. It's not only grasslands, you have to have that diversity. And that, for me, equates to the promised land, because you're gonna grow a lot of good milk because of the energy, but also it's gonna help the bees, because grasses don't grow flowers. Well, that's a small video that you can actually even see life. That's what we want. Not sure who's familiar here with the refractometer, which could be used on sugarcane, grapevines, and agave. So look at it. As you improve your soil health, your plants are going to be more stronger. I mean, everything, the bricks of your plants, which is measuring the sugars or solids, is going to be higher. The beautiful things for us as ranchers is that the better the bricks, the better the daily gains. And not only that, but as you improve the bricks, there's a point where if you reach 12, then you will have no problem with pests or insects eating your plants, because it will be strong enough. Well, this is an interesting one, because that's a pretty common woody plant in the Chihuahuan desert and probably also in the Arizona desert, including California, some parts. And when I got the bird guys, I call it bird organic conservation, they told me, Alejandro, we have a product to kill that woody plant because it has an allelopathic effect and it's not allowing your grass to grow. And I say, well, if you bring something to ranch, it should promote life, not kill life. So that's why I'm encouraging you to work for what you want and start forgetting about fighting with nature. Because if you have something like that, like me, that is tailored by nature, reflecting your management. There's no such a thing that these woody plants are invading and displacing our grasses. So, because we work for what we want, we grow grasses among them. So the thing is that, as I kind of joke saying, well, the grasses never read the book. This used to be our winters, pretty tough winters, because remember, when we have poor soils, meaning no biology, then the grasses are going to reflect that, and your grasses are going to be oxidized, the grasses are going to be shallow-rooted, and you will be praying for more rain because your grasses are so shallow-rooted. But now, these are winters nowadays, completely different. Just for you to see and compare what happened, remember, no irrigation here. See, my concern with irrigation is that we are actually not managing well our grasslands, and now we're trying to find a solution through technology, when really what we need is biology, and we're actually going towards more irrigation, more pivots, more costly for the rancher, more costly for the ecosystems, monocultures, tillage. So this is comparing the same day, pretty drastic differences, even on the fence line. And this picture is the same as the previous one. I'm running 5 more cattle, or 6 times more cattle on the right side with more grass than my neighbor on the left side. So it's not about the number of cattle you have, it's how you manage that cattle. This is a really cool picture as well, because it's the same grass in winter. Your grasses should change in form. Your grasses are going to be more leafy. Why more leafy? Because as you grow the microbiology, by bringing the biology of the livestock, then the grass is going to get bigger panel, because the microherd is going to be asking the grasses, hey, we need bigger panels, solar panels. So you change the shape. So the beautiful thing of what we do is that every year things get better instead of getting worse. See the comparison? Yeah, so for example, the left side, the perennial grasses ended up behaving like if they were annual grasses. On the right side, I would never be able to pull that grass, which is our property, the right side, and the left side is more rotational every 20 days, a lot of overgrazing, over-resting. Well, I think we're going to finish with this picture. So that is the reference, 2015. Try to take the pictures at the same time of the year. Then 2018, weeds. See, we respect this natural succession. That's where we're failing as well. We will never go from bare ground to these 7 feet tall grasses. We need to respect nature, which is going to throw weeds first. I told ranchers, if you make intentional animal impact, the first thing you're going to have is a bunch of weeds. You're on the right direction, because weeds are healers. So if we're still talking about, oh, this is good and this is bad, we haven't got there yet, the clear understanding of what it means. And then 2021, now grass is there. Well, usually perennial and annuals, but that's what we do. So I think we finished there. Thank you very much.
I didn't even get to use my time's up sign. Well done. So we've got time for questions. We've got about 5 minutes worth of questions. Have we got a Rosie running around? Got Don down the front.
Oh, I'm the one answering the question?
Yeah.
Why me?
Don Burnside, Alejandro. Welcome to Australia.
Thank you.
But you didn't say how you did it. I mean, what was your management of the cattle that allowed these changes to occur?
Yeah, what we're trying to encourage is even a small scale, for you to be more intentional. And when I say more intentional, so when we recommend what we call ranchers, right? Ranchers to start, we don't recommend for you to start and just splitting the pastures, because for us, it's very important for the rancher to get results next year. I don't want you to get results in 5 years or 10 years, because the longer the time, the more risk involved. So what we encourage the ranchers, let's say when we go and advise ranchers, show me your best pastures. Let's say that they call that pasture Cadillac. That's my Cadillac. Great. Give me a little bit of that pasture. Move daily. You size the whatever they require the area for daily moves. Polywire, no back fence to the water for 10 days, let's say. And then the commitment, let's say in Western US, Northern Mexico, don't touch that area for a full year. So you're actually meaning like making animal impact, because if you split those big areas in two, you're still very marginal in your animal impact. So there's really not much of a difference. I know 2 is better than 1, but I'm not happy with that approach. Because we ranchers, I can speak days here, but if you don't see it in your property, our major motivation is seeing the results. So we follow that approach, select the most productive areas, which is counterintuitive with what we usually do. Select the best areas, set aside a piece of the area where you can actually do more intentional grazing, more frequent moves, and then rest it for a full year. In our context, in your context maybe, depending where you are, that will be enough to motivate you to say, wow, I have more diversity, more biomass, so on. So yeah, that's how we approach it.
Alejandro, Ben Dwyer. Just curious to know, were they all natural species of grasses, or did you introduce any species of pasture?
I don't see where you are. Can you raise your... Oh. Both, I think. You know, we also have buffalo. Buffalo? Yeah? You know buffalo? Yeah. I mean, most of us have native ones, but where the land has been more degraded and also, let's say, close to the highways, we have just all grasses from Africa, yeah. But you know, as we say, what is the best grass? Where there's grass. So we don't mind what kind of grass is. I mean, eventually we think that natives are going to overcompete the introduced, but as long as we can help the rancher keep going, then that's fine. Whatever you have that can cover the soil. We are striving actually for diversity more than, oh, this grass is better than this. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hi, Alejandro. My name's Lindsay Perry.
Oh,
I just wonder, thank you for that talk. Would you mind just commenting on what the animal productivity is of that country, sort of annual live weight gain or weaning rates, and what the improvements were that you saw over that period?
Yeah, it's important for us to actually first define how we measure ourselves. So we don't measure ourselves by the heaviest weaning calf. We are very keen into not productivity, but profitability, which are very different words. I mean, I can make my ranch very productive, but at what cost? So the way we measure ourselves is how many pounds we can produce per hectare, combining two systems, right? How many, let's go back. How many kilos we can produce per hectare, at what cost? And you can want to make it a bit more sophisticated, per inch. So yeah, we're always working on the nutrition, obviously by selecting by the cows telling us which one stays and which one leaves. We have now a bit more smaller cows, wider. We don't care really about the breed. Obviously, I will not be running Jersey cows in the desert, but the cows are telling us. So we always tell the ranchers that the first day you start with improving your nutrition, better grasses, not only more, but better quality and quantity. You also start with your genetics. And most of us doing this, we actually almost have a closed herd. Yeah. But did I answer your question? No? Oh, yeah. What happens when you work in the desert is huge. For example, I can tell you the cost. The cost probably was like $400 to carry a cow per year. No, it's $100. Because when I tell people I move twice a day, it's not really like I'm having more people working in my ranch. It's actually, as long as you have a good water system, reliable water system, one person can move thousands of cows twice a day. Yeah, but it's the infrastructure, yeah. So now we went from 150 cows with 7 months supplementation to 800, like almost 900 animal units with no supplementation at all during the year in the desert. And then we went to getting like these years of 20 inches, and we didn't do anything, to being resilient. We only need 6 inches now, and I'm sure it's going to go down. So, well, just to throw a few numbers.
Probably got time for one more quick one.
Thanks, Gray. This is Mel from KPCA. I've heard you say a couple of times about starting on the best areas and start small and see the results for yourself. I'm just wondering how you talk about polywire. What do you do with water in those early phases? How do you manage the water?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, water is the most expensive thing to develop in our area and probably in many areas in Australia, because we rely on bores, on wells, and also pipeline and water pipeline, and then troughs or tanks. But I'm sorry, I kind of lost track of your question. Say it again. Oh, yes, sorry. No, yeah. So our idea on the first year is for me, to tell you not to spend anything on water. Like, if you already have a trough, then we're going to take advantage of that trough. Because for me, the first goal is for you to see that it works. And in the meantime, then you're going to start designing your system. But first, to me, the most important thing is for you to have faith that it's going to work and that you can see something next year, instead of going like, oh, well, let's develop all this water system. Obviously, you need to develop a good water system. And usually what we recommend is like 3 times more the size than whatever you're thinking or whatever you're using right now. So you're using 1 inch, you better prepare for 3 inches, because eventually you will grow that herd. And what really stops you from having more cattle is the flow rate. What is your bottleneck on the water system? But no, we try for you not to spend any money. Well, you have to invest probably in polywire and the time you're going to be moving those cows, but that was pretty much it. So we're trying for you to get the most for your bank at the low possible cost while managing the risk or minimizing the risk. So, yeah. You should be able to, because remember, we are not actually adding more cows. What is the point of me adding more cows if with the cows you have, you're not making any money? That doesn't make sense to me. Okay.
Thank you. Please welcome, thank Alejandro. And Alejandro's leaving this afternoon or tomorrow, so please, if you need to grab him earlier rather than later.